I met Emma 2 years ago at a small coffee shop in Portland. We fell in love, decided to get married. Her family, especially her mother Diane, always looked at me with contempt in their eyes. They thought I was just an ordinary guy with nothing to offer. Diane once told me straight to my face that her daughter deserved better. I let them think whatever they wanted because I had my reasons. But 1 week after our wedding, when Diane walked into my home with a notary, everything changed. Before we dive into what happened that day, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe if you want to hear more stories about what happens when people judge too quickly. Now let me take you back to how this whole mess started. I remember the first time I saw Emma. She was working behind the counter at this cozy little place downtown, her smile lighting up the entire room. I ordered a simple black coffee, and somehow we ended up talking for 20 minutes. There was something genuine about her, something that made me feel like I could be myself, without pretending to be anyone else. We started dating, and those first 6 months were some of the happiest of my life. Emma never asked about my bank account or what car I drove. She cared about my dreams, my thoughts, the way I saw the world. That was rare, and I knew it. Then came the day I met her family. Emma had been nervous about it for weeks, which should have been my first warning sign. We drove out to her parents' house in the suburbs, this massive 2-story place with a perfectly manicured lawn and a 3-car garage. The moment I pulled up in my 7-year-old sedan, I could feel the judgment. Diane answered the door. She was a tall woman with sharp features and eyes that seemed to calculate your worth in seconds. Richard, Emma's father, gave me a firm handshake but said little. Brad, her older brother, showed up late in a suit that probably cost more than my rent. Dinner was uncomfortable from the start. Diane asked about my work, and I told her I was a freelance consultant. The way her eyebrows raised, you would have thought I said I collected cans for a living. Richard wanted to know about my income, phrasing it as concern for his daughter's future. I gave vague answers because honestly, it was none of their business. Brad decided to chime in with a smirk. Freelance. So basically unemployed. He laughed like it was the funniest joke he had ever told. Emma jumped to my defense immediately. Brad, that is not fair. Keith works hard. But the damage was done. The rest of the evening crawled by with forced small talk and barely concealed disapproval. When we finally left, Emma apologized about 15 times on the drive home. I am so sorry, she said, tears forming in her eyes. They should not have treated you like that. I reached over and squeezed her hand. It is okay. You love me, and that is all that matters. What Emma did not know, what her family did not know, was the truth about who I really was. I had inherited a small consulting business from my grandfather when I was 23 years old. At the time, it was just him and 2 employees barely making ends meet. But I saw potential. I worked 16-hour days, learned everything I could about technology consulting, and slowly built it into something real. 5 years later, I owned a successful tech consulting firm with 12 employees and contracts with major companies across the Pacific Northwest. I also owned 3 rental properties in downtown Portland, bought when the market dipped and everyone else was panicking. My accountant told me my net worth was somewhere around $2 million, but I told no one. Not my friends, not casual dates, and especially not Emma when we first started seeing each other. The reason was simple. 3 years before I met Emma, I had been in a relationship with someone who seemed perfect. We dated for 8 months before I made the mistake of telling her about my business and properties. Everything changed after that. She started planning our future, talking about the house we would buy, the vacations we would take. Then I caught her trying to add her name to one of my property deeds without my knowledge. That betrayal cut deep. It taught me that some people only see dollar signs when they look at you. So I made a decision. The next time I fell in love, it would be with someone who loved me for who I was, not what I had. I would keep my financial situation private until I was absolutely certain. Emma never cared about money. She was happy with cheap takeout dinners and walks in the park. She never once asked me to buy her anything expensive or complained about my modest lifestyle. That was how I knew she was different. That was how I knew she was the one. After 8 months of dating, I asked Emma to marry me. She said yes before I even finished the question. We were both crying and laughing, standing in that same coffee shop where we first met. It felt perfect. Then came the wedding planning, and with it more interference from Diane. Emma and I wanted something simple. Maybe 50 people, a nice dinner, nothing too fancy. But Diane had other ideas. She insisted on a big wedding, expensive flowers, a live band. When Emma pushed back, Diane played the hurt mother card. "I just want the best for my daughter," she said with tears in her eyes. "Is that so wrong?" Eventually, Emma and I compromised. We agreed to a nicer venue, but we kept the guest list small and made our own decisions about everything else. There was just one problem. Diane paid for most of it, and she never let me forget it. "I hope you appreciate this, Keith," she said during one planning meeting. "Not every mother-in-law would do this for a son-in-law who cannot afford to give her daughter a proper wedding." I bit my tongue. Emma looked mortified, but I just nodded and thanked her. What else could I do? Starting a fight would only hurt Emma. Brad made things worse. He cornered me at the rehearsal dinner and gave me what he probably thought was helpful advice. "You should really think about getting a stable job, Keith. Freelancing is not going to cut it when you have a family to support. I could maybe get you an interview at my firm if you want to be a paralegal or something." The condescension dripped from every word. I smiled politely and told him I would think about it, knowing I would never take him up on that offer. The worst part came 1 week before the wedding. Diane called a family meeting at her house. Emma and I drove over thinking it was about last-minute wedding details. Instead, we walked into an ambush. Diane sat at the head of the dining table with a stack of papers in front of her. Richard sat to her right, looking uncomfortable. Brad was there too, arms crossed, looking smug. "Keith, Emma, please sit down," Diane said in her most serious voice. We sat. Emma grabbed my hand under the table. "I have been thinking a lot about your future," Diane began. "And I believe it would be wise for you two to sign a prenuptial agreement." Emma's hand tightened around mine. "Mom, what are you talking about?" Diane slid the papers across the table. "It is just a precaution, sweetheart. This agreement protects your assets in case things do not work out." I picked up the document and started reading. It was thorough, I had to give her that. According to this prenup, I would have no claim to any assets Emma acquired during the marriage. If we divorced, I would leave with nothing, not even the right to stay in whatever home we shared. "If Keith truly loves you," Diane continued, "he will sign this without hesitation. It proves he is not after your family's money." Emma stood up her chair, scraping loudly against the floor. "This is insulting. Keith would never—" I put my hand on her arm gently. "It is okay." Everyone looked at me surprised. I read through the document one more time, noting every clause that assumed I was a gold digger looking to take advantage of the family fortune. Then I picked up the pen Diane had conveniently placed on top of the papers. "Keith, you do not have to," Emma started. "I know," I said, and signed my name at the bottom. The look of triumph on Diane's face made my stomach turn, but I kept my expression neutral. Emma stared at me like I had lost my mind. In the car on the way home, she finally exploded. "Why did you sign that? My mother basically called you a gold digger to your face." "I signed it because I love you," I said calmly. "Those papers do not change anything between us. I do not care about prenups or family money. I only care about you." She cried the rest of the way home. I held her hand and let her get it all out. Our wedding day arrived. Despite all the drama, it was beautiful. Emma looked stunning in her dress, and when we said our vows, nothing else mattered. Not Diane's disapproving glances, not Brad's whispered comments to other guests about how his sister had married someone with no prospects. During the reception, I overheard Brad talking to some of his lawyer friends. "Yeah, my sister married a guy who does not have two nickels to rub together. Diane made him sign a prenup, though, thank God." One of the guests, an older woman I did not recognize, gave me a pitying look later that evening. It was clear what everyone thought. Poor Emma marrying down. Poor Keith obviously in it for the family connection. I smiled through all of it. Emma was happy, and that was what mattered. The truth would come out eventually. I just did not know it would happen so soon. Emma and I moved into my apartment after the wedding. It was a nice place, about 900 square feet in a decent neighborhood, but nothing fancy. One bedroom, updated kitchen, hardwood floors. I had bought it 5 years earlier as my first investment property and had been living there ever since. Emma loved it. She spent the first few days rearranging furniture and adding little touches that made it feel like home. She hung pictures on the walls, bought new curtains, filled the place with plants. Watching her nest made me happier than I could express. Diane, of course, hated it. She called Emma every single day that first week. "How is the apartment? Is it big enough? Are you comfortable? You know you can always come stay with us if you need to." Emma handled it better than I expected. "Mom, I am fine. We are fine. Please stop worrying." But Diane would not stop. She showed up unannounced twice, walking through our home like she was conducting an inspection. She opened kitchen cabinets, checked the water pressure, even tested the locks on the windows. "It is very small," she said during her second visit, wrinkling her nose. "I really think you two should consider moving somewhere more suitable." "This is suitable," Emma said firmly. "Keith and I are happy here." On the morning of our 8th day as a married couple, Diane called Emma before 7 a.m. I was making coffee when I heard Emma's frustrated voice from the bedroom. "Mom, it is too early. No, Keith does not need—" "Fine. What time?" Emma came into the kitchen looking exhausted. "My mother wants to come over this morning. She says she has something important to discuss." "Did she say what?" "No, but knowing her, it is probably another lecture about how we should let her buy us a condo or something." I kissed her forehead. "We will handle it together." Diane arrived at 10 a.m. Emma sharp. But she was not alone. Standing next to her was a man in his 50s wearing a suit and carrying a leather briefcase. He looked professional, serious, and completely out of place in our casual living room. "Emma Keith," Diane said, sweeping into our apartment like she owned it. "This is Mr. Harrison. He is a notary public." Emma and I exchanged confused glances. "A notary, Mom, what is this about?" Diane settled herself on our couch, and Mr. Harrison took the armchair. I noticed he was already pulling documents from his briefcase. "I have been thinking about your living situation." Diane began gesturing around our apartment with barely concealed disdain. "This place is simply too small for a married couple. You deserve better." "Mom, we have talked about this." Diane held up her hand. "Let me finish." I have decided to purchase a proper home for you. A 2-bedroom condo in that new development near the waterfront. It will be in your name, Emma. My gift to you." She said it like she was presenting the solution to all our problems. Emma's face went red. "I do not want you to buy us a condo.